Our special guest today on the Good Morning Enid show is Pastor Mark McAdow from Willow View Methodist Church. So first, Pastor, thank you for coming.
Thanks, Derek.
Tell us a little bit about how long you've been in the ministry, and tell us how things going at the church.
All right. Well, it's hard to believe, but I've been in ministry about 33 years. But I've been at Willow View Church just almost 2 years in June. And things are going very well there. We just finished 2 weeks ago, Great Holy Week and Easter worship services, and those are fantastic. We also completed a Christian worldview study called the Truth Project that we offered to the community. That was just very well received and was a great blessing to us. And I guess one of the greatest things that's happened recently is that we're now being broadcast on Enid television. Our church services on Monday and Wednesday evening at 8 o'clock and Saturday at 9 o'clock. So we're rebroadcasting a few weeks delay, but it's available to anybody who wants to see it. And I've had some very, very kind responses to that too. So lots of fun things happening. We've got a group of high school students going to Puerto Rico to help with hurricane relief in July. So I could talk a lot about the church.
Yeah. Well, one of the reasons that you're with us today is because of the National Day of Prayer event,
Right.
and there's an Enid event as well. But I want to talk a little bit about the National Day event, and I believe it's created. I'd like to ask President Truman what he was thinking at the time, but we go all the way back to 1952.
That's right.
When President Truman kind of basically put this in place. And if you go to the National Day of Prayer website, you will find this particular statement. It says, the National Day of Prayer is a vital part of our heritage since the first call to prayer in 1775, when the Continental Congress asked the colonies to pray for wisdom in forming a nation. The call to prayer had continued through our history, including President Lincoln's proclamation, a day of fasting and prayer in 1863. It goes way back.
Right.
Then in 1952, a joint resolution by Congress signed by President Truman declared an annual National Day of Prayer. That's a little bit on the history of that.
Yes.
I know, Pastor, there's a quote that's near and dear to you by S.D. Gordon.
Yes.
And I think we have that on the screen for us today. But tell us why is the quote, and you can read the quote or share the quote with us, why is that impactful to you?
Well, I think it just gives a great summary of why prayer is so important. So S.D. Gordon said this: the greatest thing anyone can do for God and man is pray. It's not the only thing, but it is the chief thing. The great people of the earth today are the people who pray. I do not mean those who talk about prayer, nor those who can explain about prayer, but I mean those people who take time and pray. And that's what this day is all about, a national day for us to take time out and to literally get on our knees and pray and ask the Lord to bless and heal our land.
Sure. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes, thanks.
When it comes to the Enid event, tell us. I know I've been here a decade, and I know they've been doing it for at least a decade. How long have you been involved in the event, and what made you want to get involved in this event?
Yeah, well, thanks, Derek. I've just been involved actually last year, and then, of course, this year, because I became a part of the Enid Ministerial Alliance, and it's our Ministerial Alliance that helps host and sponsor the event. So my time here at Enid obviously limited because I haven't been here very long, but I've been involved in the National Day of Prayer for well over a decade. As I served at First United Methodist Church in Oklahoma City, we hosted many of the statewide prayer events there in that particular church.
And I'm sure you're involved in events in Tulsa as well.
Sure,
Going
absolutely.
way back to the early days.
Yes, that's right.
Well, let's bring it to present time, Pastor, and let's talk about today's event. So what will go on, kind of give us the time, place, who's invited, things like that.
Yeah. Well, today it will be right at 12 noon at the Gazebo on the Garfield County Courthouse lawn. We will pledge allegiance to the American flag, Christian flag. We'll sing a song, and then we have key civic leaders and pastors who will be leading us in a time of prayer, and we'll close with an opportunity to pray the Lord's Prayer together so that it really ties everything together for the people who are there to pray. And we're particularly blessed that you'll be there with us, Steve, today. You'll be bringing the prayer for the media in this area, so we're thankful for your involvement and look forward to a good day. Sounds like the rain's not going to be around, so we should have pleasant afternoon, and we're planning to be concluded by about 12:45 So anybody who can take their lunch break and come join us, we'd love to have you come and be a part of that, and then you can get back to work in good order too.
Okay. I know usually there's a theme each year. What is the theme this year, and where did it derive from?
Yeah, well, there's a National Day of Prayer Task Force, which is a independently funded organization that promotes prayer in the United States, and so they're the ones who create the theme. This year's theme is Love One Another, and there's actually a theme verse, and it comes from 1 John, which is one of the small letters towards the back of the Bible, and it's one verse, 1 John 4:7, and it says this, Dear friends, let us love one another, for love comes from God. Everyone who loves has been born of God and knows God. Yeah, so love one another. That's a great theme, and that's what we'll be focusing in on this afternoon.
Now, Pastor, is that a national theme, or is that an Enid theme?
No, that is the national theme.
Okay,
yes.
so each community kind of goes from there. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So I asked you earlier, why did you get involved? So how can other people get involved?
Well,
if they want to get involved.
Come and pray. Come and pray. Really, that's it. Everybody's welcome to join us this afternoon, and as we gather, as we sing and have opportunity to pray, you can be involved in that way. If you'd like to help support the cause next year, I'm sure we'd be glad to have your help as well. Like you said, it's hosted by the Enid Ministerial Alliance, and so we have members who are the ones who are helping lead the event today.
And you mentioned some of the business leaders and just different individuals.
Yeah.
Are there some names that come to mind that you can share with us this morning that will be there to pray at the gazebo?
Yeah, well, I know Corey Moore will be there praying, representing
Corey.
the banking area. Bill Shaw, who's a local attorney, he'll be praying for the government. Also, Matt Lohman, who represents Hope Outreach Ministries, he'll be there praying on behalf of families, I believe, today. Several others, too.
You mentioned Ministerial Alliance. What is the function of the Ministerial Alliance? So I guess we kind of understand it's a group of pastors and ministers that maybe get together and kind of do group things. But
yeah.
Excuse me.
We meet on a monthly basis, usually the first Thursday at noon, and it's a group of pastors and Christian-based ministries that just get together basically to support and encourage one another, and also to promote unity within the body of Christ here in Enid, where we can show the love of Jesus in very practical ways. And so we get together to encourage and bless and find out more of what's going on in our community so that we can support that too. Okay.
For those that may be just joining us, can you summarize the events again, top to bottom?
Yeah, thanks, Derek. Well, it's today at noon, 12 noon at the gazebo on the Garfield County Courthouse lawn. And we'll meet from about 12 to 12:45. We'll have opportunity to share the pledges and sing and have different civic and pastors lead us in a time of prayer. We'll be done by 12:45, so you can get back to work if you're on your lunch break.